Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So excited that you decided to tune in. Today we're going to be doing part 1 of Let's Talk About Love series. If you have not seen my introduction video, I would strongly advise you to go back and watch it. It's only about like 3 minutes or 4, and I'm just talking about, what we're going to be talking about through the month of February, since it is a month of love. And it is an important month for me, and I kind of felt led to talk to you guys about love. So today we're going to be doing part 1, and I'm just going to give you about 3 nuggets. So I'm not going to keep you long, but just going to give you 3 nuggets to keep with you. And this video, just a disclaimer, it's not only for single people, but also for married people. So number 1 nugget that I want to talk about is identity. And I think it's more so towards younger people, the ones that are not married yet, or I guess it's not an age limit anymore, but your identity is very important when it comes to building a strong and healthy relationship. I think if I did not focus my younger years on really myself and worrying about what my soul really needs, then I would have been lost. And every time I would go on a date, I would be kind of wavered, because I would see that a person, like let's say another man, would have different outlook on life. And if I didn't know what I wanted in my life, then I wouldn't really want to know who I want to connect myself with. And that's very important when you're young, when you're just, still learning who you are. It's very important for you to study yourself, whether it's reading, self-help books. A lot of people, watch different kind of sermons, different kind of pastors. They have a mentor, somebody that can speak into their life and tell them, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this right, or you're going in the wrong direction. And that's what I did. I connected myself with different books. I started liking reading. I didn't start off that way, but I actually forced myself to read until I actually started to like to do that. I started to write, and that actually helped me kind of pour out what I really had on the inside of me, since I did say before that I'm a very inward person. And so for me to be able to express myself, I do it best when I actually sit down and I write, whether it be in the blog or I'm just writing, some kind of a book or any kind of paper. I feel like I can express my feelings a lot more through writing. And whatever it is that you have to find and you have to do to be able to find out who you truly are, what you want to attain in life, do it, because that's going to be very important before you start dating other people and connecting yourself. You'd be able to, go on a date and say, this is what I really want, can we be compatible? Do you have the same kind of goals that you want to attain or go towards? Can we connect ourselves together, or are we just wasting time? So I think number 1 is just knowing who you are. And I truly believe that that identity doesn't just come from anywhere. I'm not gonna be like talking about spooky, psychic stuff, and not to be, extremely spiritual, but I, as a believer myself, I really believe that that identity really came from God himself, because I believe that God created me in his image and in his likeness, and he knows everything about me. And what better way for you to be able to find out who you truly are, and that is to connect yourself to the most amazing relationship that you will have, and that's with Jesus Christ. And I think that's very important, because in those moments, when you separate yourself from everything and you find out who you are, you get to meditate, you get to read God's word, and sometimes even read books by other authors, other pastors that are speaking into your life. You'll start finding out, what God's will is for your life. It's not an one-day event thing. It's something that you have to do daily, because God calls us to grow spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally. He calls us to grow daily, not to be, just stagnant and stand there and not do anything. So even if you're married and you have children and you're hearing this for the first time, it's never too late to understand who you are. But then, the dynamic within a marriage, once you do get married and you're finding out who you are, and there are certain things that you will have to talk through with your spouse, and as well with your children, if your children are old enough to understand, so that you don't bring frustration into your house. So that is why it's very important as a single person to find out who you truly are, so that when you do get married, when you do find that somebody you connect with, it will be a lot easier for you to carry that load, because you won't have to worry about certain things or try to figure out what am I doing, or if anything comes your way, something very challenging that could really shake you to the core. And I know what I'm talking about because I've went through several things, these past few years, and especially, marriage being so life-changing. That's something I waited for since I was a little girl, but there are certain challenges that come with it, and there's a price to pay for having a good marriage, and it's something that you have to fight for every day. So I just encourage you as a single person, to really find out who you are, where do you want to go, even if you have to sit down and write those things out. If you are married and you have children and you've never sat down and really figured out what you really wanted, and maybe now you question yourself, am I really fulfilling my purpose? It's never too late. I think when you sit down and really get in touch with who you are on the inside, God will really show you, the gifts that you have, the people that you can reach out to, people you can touch, the people you can get connected to that will actually open up new doors of opportunity. So I definitely encourage you, as a single, as a married person, as an elderly, whoever you are, that there's still time for you to figure out who you are and what you're called here to do. We're all on the journey. Nugget number 2 is internal beauty. I think it's speaking to all males and females, but because I am a female, I am speaking from a female perspective. I think the biggest thing for young women in this generation is to understand that your inner beauty is most important. I love beauty, I love makeup, I love to take care of myself, I love to do hair and all that stuff, but that stuff does not define me, and I understand that I can't mask my pain, my hurt. I can't mask the ugly side, of the things and things that I need to improve on, maybe my weaknesses, maybe I shouldn't say ugly sides, but just not very pretty sides. Whenever you do get thrown into a certain situation, you really start seeing your attitude and how negative you are towards certain things, and even, towards your spouse or towards your children, and you're like, what's wrong with me? I can't figure myself out, but that's how you'll be able to start working on your inner beauty, is if you connect yourself to God and ask Him to help you find out, your weaknesses, your strengths, and eliminate those things that are displeasing to God. Then He will start bringing out the best in you. I think a lot of times, because we go through this process and we say, okay, God, I'll let you work in my life. And we go through this process, and sometimes it's so lengthy and sometimes it's so hard to see any kind of result. But I've even, stepped into several times, in my season when I've really worked on myself really, really hard. And I felt like, is this doing anything? And I've seen people come up to me, a few years later, and they said, wow, you really inspired me, because I really saw how you, did this, or you fasted, or you prayed, or you said no to certain things. And I thought, wow, it's so amazing for a young person to be able to say no to those things, because most of the time, young people say YOLO, we live this life once, let's, do whatever we can to enjoy it today. But I really encourage you to invest in your future, because the more you invest in yourself, the easier it will be whenever you do submit yourself to a role of a wife, of a woman, and of a homemaker, of a mother, because God will start working things out through you and in you, and people will start seeing, the beauty that God truly has placed on the inside of you. We all go through life, and we have certain experiences. We have situations that have shaped us and formed us. Our relationships with our parents. Family is something you can't get rid of. So there are certain things that have maybe happened in your childhood that might have been traumatic, and you have not healed, but you've kind of put it on the back burner. You have kind of put it on the shelf. And I've been there. I know the situation, and there are times when I see certain things pop up in my marriage that I know that was a result of a certain experience in my life. And when Ryan would talk to me and he said, honey, I'm not your dad, and I hate that you're projecting this certain thing on me, because I am not that same man. But it's difficult, because we are human beings, and we tend to kind of put up a defensive front whenever we do experience a certain same situation that we've been placed on before when we were children. So that's what I'm talking about, is working through, the challenges and the things that you have faced during your childhood. And I'm sure it wasn't perfect. And if it was, you're blessed, and just continue to move forward, because if you are moving along and you are really, bringing out the best in you, then can you imagine how wonderful it will be for your children to just pass that baton and say, I've really worked hard to be where I am, and I want you to not start where I started, but I want you to start where I ended and continue passing on to the generations. I mean, that would be so wonderful, because I truly believe that it all starts within ourselves, and then of course we're able to build strong families, and in turn we're able to build strong communities, and that's very, very important. So topic number 3, or nugget number 3, should I say, balance. That's very important, because sometimes we can get lost, in the spiritual world, and we get a little kooky, and people look at us like, what's wrong with you? And I know God has called us to be different, and to be a standout, but I really believe that even Jesus walked himself around, people that were of this world. He said, I didn't come, to heal those who are, who are whole already. I have come to heal those who are sick, who are wounded, who are blinded, and that's what God has called us. And I think Jesus had a belief. He already had a paradigm on the inside of him, and it was so strong that he did not go down to where they were and did what they did, but he called up these people up to his level, and he said, you know what? I have compassion towards you, but I really believe that you have a purpose and a plan for your life, and I'm just calling you higher. And I think that's what we're called to do as believers, is to raise people up. And I think the biggest thing is that we learn and understand the balance is, first have that relationship with God, because on that you will have, your marriage will thrive, your relationship with your children, your relationship with your friends will thrive. And then of course, whenever you start studying who you are, your internal beauty, you're trying to figure out, the weaknesses and strengths, then you're working on the issues of the soul. There are times that I've saw certain things in my life unravel, like past hurts, and I would project them on my husband, as I said before, and he was like, where is this coming from, but it's because of my past experiences. And I think when you really decide to dig deep and ask God to search your heart and heal those broken places, then you will start seeing the past hurts, the bitterness, the anger that you have. And God will, if you allow God to heal your soul, you will come out stronger and better, and you'll be able to witness to other people, So you have your spirit man, you have your soul man, and then you have your body. And God gave you a body, as a temple. He gave you this body as a vehicle in order for you to be able to do your daily tasks. So whatever it may be, make sure that you do, exercise, make sure that you eat healthy foods, because you want to be able to live long and healthy life. I think even I'm reminded of a scripture that says, I place before you life and death, and I ask you to choose life. And we have decisions every single day. We have so many options. I mean, you just drive out on a strip and you see restaurant after restaurant. And sometimes, we're very privileged, first of all. I can tell you that right now, because I am from a different country, and I know that a lot of people don't experience so many opportunities and so many options. But I think whenever we do have options, then we get a little scattered. We're like, oh, I want to go here, I want to do this. And before we know it, years have passed by, and we have gained a certain weight, or we have, eaten unhealthy, and now we see it reflect on our health, and we're not able to do certain things that we wanted to do with our children, with our grandchildren, because we're in and out of the hospital paying bills. That's not what God has called you to do. He has really called you to live to your life to the fullest, and that's making sure that you live a healthy and balanced life. So you as a whole individual, I think if you grasp that concept as a single person, then your marriage will be thriving and strong, and nothing will be able to break it apart, because you will be a wholesome person and two whole people coming together and creating something wonderful. Then I know that God will bless that marriage, because you have done everything that you could, to press forward, to move forward, and to get closer to God, and understand your strengths, understand your weaknesses, and overcome certain things. And every single day, God will help you walk through those processes, and it's a journey. Even once we you know, tomorrow when we wake up, we might have a different perception. We might have a different viewpoint because of a certain situation that might occur. But I just challenge you that it's a process. It's something that you have to be intentional about. It's not something you could just kind of you know, throw a floaty down onto the lazy river and just float, because people do that daily, and look where they end up. I mean, if you are the person that really are dedicated to live a life to the fullest, you can see at your relationships from even high school. Like, I look at some people from my high school and I'm like, wow, like I did not even see that. But you can see that because the steps that they took, you know, when I was dedicated to study hard, to get out of school and go to college, you could see that they were partying, they were doing certain things, they were dating around, sleeping around, doing whatever, and you can see the consequences of their decision. Now, on the other hand, you know, seeing what I have done in my life and the hard work that I've put in, and a lot of people don't see because people mainly see the beauty side of it, but it is really hard work. You have to be daily, you know, you have to be intentional about it. You have to do it daily. You have to make sure that you wake up and say, what else can I do today to make myself better so that I'm a wholesome person and I'm able to come out and step out of my house and, you know, speak into somebody, you know, whether it's in the grocery store, be kind on the road, don't have road rage or anything like that. Because I feel like God really has placed it on the inside of us to be strong individuals and to really touch the systems of this world, whether it be, you know, if you're in the educational system, if you're in the medical field, if you're in the fashion and beauty industry. I really believe that God has called each and every one of us for a specific task. And whenever we allow God to really work on the inside of us, we're able to attract other people, not by the words that we speak, not by the words that we speak, but by the actions and the lives that we live. And so I hope these 3 nuggets kind of helped you understand a little bit better, you know, what else you can do as a single person, or even as a married person if you just found out, you know, for the first time. It's never too late to grow, but something that you can concentrate on daily so that you're bettering yourself. So number 1 is your identity, number 2 is your internal beauty, and number 3 is your balance, which is your body, soul, and spirit. And I'm so excited to do other series with you. Make sure that you comment below in the comment section and let me know what are some other things or other questions that you have for me so I can answer them in the next video. But as always, create culture and be you. Love you guys, and see you back in my next video.